speaking about ethical entrepreneurship and how to create a vegan world through business. Since you're pursuing this line of inquiry, I'm going to presume that if you're not already vegan, you're at least interested in the topic. So you'll forgive me for sparing for stating why we'd like a vegan world. I guess we can all agree on that. And it's actually quite refreshing. Most of the talks I've done in the last year or so have been to largely non-vegan audiences, so I'm seeing this as kind of a home crowd as such. So I believe that the world needs veganism, and that the fastest way to spread that is through business. And something I'm really passionate about is entrepreneurship. It's afforded me the ability to travel and live my life on my terms, and also equally passionate about veganism. So firstly, I'm going to kind of redefine some of those terms in the context of this talk. Starting with veganism, and veganism for me, I discovered nearly 4 years ago. It really helped me with my business actually, because veganism to me now means a conscious understanding of how my everyday actions affect myself, those around me, and the wider environment. And that's really helped me with business. Business in itself is simply solving problems, and people make it very, very complicated, but it's simply solving problems. Entrepreneurship is somebody that puts themselves at risk, whether financial or otherwise, in pursuit of a vision that they have. And entrepreneurship is a difficult one because if you Google entrepreneur, you get these images of kind of watches and cars and all these kind of flashy external items, when really it's not like that at all. And part of the talk I want to do is kind of break down those barriers and explain how it can be accessible to everyone and why it's so important. For me, entrepreneurship, it wasn't really thought of like that back then, but started when I was kind of 16. I'm 28 now, so 12 years ago. Starting as coaching kids football. And really entrepreneurship stemmed from the fact that I'm largely unemployable. So it wasn't necessarily a choice, but more of a necessity, otherwise I wouldn't have had a job. Fast forward to today, and it's been through owning nightclubs and events companies and recruitment companies and other bits and pieces, to now working in this space and combining two passions, both veganism and entrepreneurship. Why do we need entrepreneurship? Why do we need business? Well, I think there's 4 kind of barriers to entry around veganism as to why we don't already have a vegan world, which I'll come on to shortly. But what underpins the whole thing, the reason the world isn't vegan, is simply the demand. If the demand for animal products tomorrow disappeared, we'd find very quickly they don't exist. So I would suggest to you that large companies aren't necessarily unethical, they're just unconscious. So they respond to the needs of the market. At the moment, the market demands animal products, and that's what they supply. So it's creating and solving those 4 issues. Health, environment, and ethics are all world problems that I believe that can be resolved with veganism, or at least in part. I don't necessarily believe capitalism is bad. I just believe it's unconscious. And we've seen through capitalism some amazing advances in technology and helping make all of our lives much, much better. So, responding to demand, how do we switch? How do we make a change? And how do we use business to do that? So I'm going to talk over 3 topics. The first being business, the second veganism, the third entrepreneurship, and then try and tie them all together and underpin what solutions we may have. So, starting with business, and I kind of defined it loosely as solving problems, but more than that, business is simply finding creative solutions to problems in a way that's win-win profit. And firstly, problems. Within the vegan space, we have many, many problems, and many problems that most of us have daily. So creative solutions would be where you provide a solution that is not really in existence, you do it better, or you do it in a different way. When I say win-win, at the moment, that stems back to, what it should stem back to is a why. So if you look at a traditional company structure, we have category A, people that are involved in category B. Category A would be customers, it would be employees, it would be suppliers, and it would be shareholders. In traditional companies, in big business, we prioritise the needs of the shareholder. Then the customers, then our staff, and then our suppliers. And for me, with my first nightclub, I was taught that you should pay your suppliers at the very, very end when they're about to cut you off. And that's how you make your cash flow work for you, because the purpose of the business was to turn a profit. With your customers, you would look after them over your employees. You'd be prepared to put them first. Your shareholders would have first say. So if it meant that you had to get rid of some people to balance the books, that was how it was done. And the reason is because this business are unconscious. When we start with a why for our business and have that why resonate throughout the company, we find that we start behaving differently. We pay our suppliers on time. We involve our suppliers in our mission. We have a core set of values that resonate through the company. So that's what I mean by being win-win. Everybody wins and we behave fairly. The reason profit's important, and it's kind of thrown about as a dirty word sometimes, is that without profit, we can't perpetuate our message and spread it further. So we have to turn a profit in order to spread our message. If the reason our business exists is valuable to the world, then surely we want to spread it further. And the only way we can spread it further is by turning a profit. So create solutions to problems in a way that's win-win at a profit is what a business is. When it comes to choosing your business, I'd suggest that there's 3 points that you need to consider. The first of which is, what is your purpose? And this underpins everything. What problem are you solving? Okay, and it's important to pick a purpose and be able to explain that purpose clearly, so when it comes to explaining that to your suppliers, to your shareholders, to your customers, and to your team, is that everyone buys into that. So when you need that supplier to deliver to you on a Saturday, they're happy to help you because they're bought into your purpose. When you're not necessarily turning the profit you forecasted, your shareholders give you a little bit more time because they're bought into the purpose of your business. Point of difference, USP, differentiating value proposition, whatever that is, the point of difference that makes your product stand out or your business stand out. So it can be the way you deliver your product is maybe different, the product itself may be different, the positioning may be different. It has to be a point of difference, which is what makes your product unique. And then the product itself. Do people want it? The amount of products that come to market that haven't bothered to take the time to find out if it's actually desired by the marketplace is astounding. So there's many things you can do. You can beta testing. You can even now, with the internet, put a product online without even having it in stock and just see how the market responds. So there's all this really, really testing and make sure it's a product that people actually want. Now within veganism, taking that, I would suggest that there's essentially 4 problems that we need that can be solved by business in order to spread the movement further. In no particular order, and they're not isolated themselves, the first is price. And the reason we have a problem with price is because there don't necessarily exist, 1, the volume of competitors, and 2, the scale in which to get the materials cheaper to pass on the benefits to the consumer. So when there's a competitive market, companies compete with each other on price, which is one of the points which drives the price down. When we have a greater demand and therefore an increased supply, we can source materials cheaper, which means the end product becomes cheaper to make and we can pass the discount on to the consumer. So more companies entering the market and producing more units will bring the price down, which makes veganism more accessible. The second is convenience. So I would suggest that if Tesco, which they do now, for example, had 20 wraps on the shelf that were vegan and 20 that were meat and dairy, it'd be much easier for you to nip out and grab a sandwich. Or if Boots had, rather than their staple falafel and hummus sandwich, had a list of 10, it would be much more easy for us. So more products in the market make it more convenient and therefore make it more accessible to the average person to follow a vegan diet. The next one is misinformation. And I would suggest that the current rate of adoption being as fast as it is down to the volume of information that exists. We can now go, for me, myself, going onto my phone and seeing all this information that's being put out there made veganism appeal to me. So having more information, from a company perspective, that may be, you may be a news channel, a news platform, it may be a blog, it may be a vlog. All these things are able to, easy to monetize now and therefore can be a business. And the next one is quality. So quality or taste, depending on which kind of product it is, but quality comes about via innovation. and entrepreneurs lead innovation. So the reason maybe that you don't necessarily, the average person wouldn't buy a faux leather jacket as opposed to a leather jacket at the moment is that there's not the volume of companies producing those products for us to innovate to produce the best quality as there are with leather. Coming back to problems, many of you, I know I do, have a problem with leather goods, can't find belts, can't find wallets, etc. So quality is something that limits our access. So these are 4 problems, obviously generalised problems with niches that exist within them that can be solved by business and therefore make the whole element of the vegan lifestyle much more accessible to people. And thirdly is an entrepreneur. And I said about breaking down barriers because I think we set entrepreneurship on a kind of this pedestal where we think it means money and success and whatever. But it's not always that complicated. An entrepreneur can be someone that works in their job during the day, goes home, runs a small online site selling goods. Or it can be someone that launches a full-scale business. It can be anything in between. It's anyone that puts themselves at risk to start a project, to realise a vision. So if you're attempting to be an entrepreneur, I would look at three corners of a triangle. The first one is, what are you passionate about? So yes, veganism, but what are you passionate about within that? What other passions do you have that can align with that to come up with something niche? The reason passion is so important is, when it gets to hour 10 and you're sat at a desk and you're banging your head against the desk, passion is what pulls you through and helps you carry on. So unless you're truly passionate about something, it won't work. The second is assets. What assets do you have? And you say, well, I don't have any assets. It can be time. Time can be an asset. It can be, I have access to the internet, I have a driving license, or at the other end, I have a team of people in my office that need extra hours. So assets can be anything. And then, what am I uniquely capable of? What are my core skill sets? If you don't know, ask somebody, they will tell you. Ask your 5 closest friends, what do you think I'm skilled at? What am I particularly good at? When you have those 3 corners answered, you can then start to look if there's anything that resonates between the 3. If I'm passionate about veganism, but I'm also passionate about desserts, I love desserts. If my assets are that I have an internet connection, I have a travel card, and I have lots of time, and my core skills are my ability to write, you may go around reviewing desserts from different restaurants. And then while you build that alongside a normal job, create that, and monetize that, and turn that into a business. It can be anything. But those would be the core 3 points. Going back to business, if you're not an entrepreneur, or you don't want to start a business, how can you have an impact from a business perspective? Becoming a more conscious consumer. So we said when we place demand on products, the market responds. At the minute, an unconscious market. So be a more conscious consumer. Choose vegan products. Encourage other people to choose vegan products. Talk about vegan products. If you're starting a business in this space now, I'd suggest that you have the best possible customers in the world, because as vegans, every time we eat something, we want to take a picture of it and share it with the world. If we buy something that's good, we tell everybody where we got it from. We're the best customers possible. In the age of social media, that's super valuable, super important. As an entrepreneur, can you start to look at your company or look at your business and start thinking about behaving in a more conscious way? So have you thought about, is there if you go back to those 3 areas, are you working in your skill set? Because I know for myself, if I'm not working in my skill set, I become unhappy very quickly. If you're not working in your skill set, is it something you can offload to somebody else and you focus on your core skill? I suggest your company will work better. Are you working on your passion? If not, can you start to diversify to move closer towards that? And are you making the best use of your assets? If you have a cafe, for example, and you're trading from 8 till 5, can you look at maybe perhaps teaming up with somebody else to make use of your kitchen between the hours of 6 and 12 that produces meal preps and send those out? So are you sweating the asset? Are you making the best possible use of it? And